The LEGO Creator Postcards are a series of small 3D postcard sets based on different cities or countries. They all cost 15 euros and have around 260 pieces. Well, most of them. I have the Japan and Beijing one right here, so why not review and compare them? Taking a look at the Japan one, we see just how much detail it has, with Mount Fuji in the background and the snow interestingly sticking out a little, the Himeji castle, some greenery behind it, a pond with a bridge that uses these sausages as railings, and a cherry blossom tree as the biggest details, but also some smaller ones like this little stone path here, reminding me of traditional Japanese gardens. This whole thing just screams Japan, even without the white tile that says Japan in Japanese. The set actually comes with 2 of these and the other one is in English. I genuinely love to just look at the whole set and admire all the little details. It's just so well designed. It uses its 262 pieces wonderfully and has been in the background of my streams ever since I built it. Similar to Wally, which I also reviewed and, by the way, built on stream, so follow me on Twitch. And subscribe here for more honest reviews. Because of course I also have things to criticize here, and the biggest one are the random colors that LEGO loves putting in their sets for some reason. Like the entire frame is black, but then the one part that's covered by the Japan tile is grey. I understand that it isn't visible unless you look really closely, but why isn't it just black? And then there are also some unfitting colors that are very visible, even without paying much attention to them, like this brown piece behind the snow. Why isn't it blue like the rest of the mountain? Even the rest of the mountain behind the snow? And why is the tree partly grey? And why is the ground below the temple black? I understand that LEGO loves putting all kinds of random weird colors inside of their sets, but at least they're hidden most of the time. Here they just aren't. They're very visible and I just don't get it. But that's honestly my only big criticism. There are some smaller ones like the temple moving kind of freely, but at the same time I don't know how else they would have created this angle and it doesn't really matter when it just stands around. Or the tiles saying Japan in Japanese and English coming with stickers instead of prints. That immediately downgrades the perceived value in my opinion, but at least it isn't very visible here. But that aside, this is a beautiful little set. I love all the little details here and just how 3D it is. How much is sticking out of the frame and how far the things are sticking out. I love it when things break out of their frames like this. This set in its concept is honestly a 10 out of 10 for me, and of all the sets I've built so far, honestly also my favorite one. It's a shame that the execution isn't quite there, with glaringly obviously wrong colors in some places and stickers instead of prints. But it's a beautiful, playful set that was very fun to build, actually also my favorite building experience with LEGO so far, and I'm super glad that I bought it. I would genuinely recommend this set without thinking twice, so definitely get this one if it interests you. The Beijing one is interesting because it's so different from the Japan one, despite actually being the same thing. But really, the only thing they obviously share is the cloud and the fact that they use famous landmarks. But before comparing the two, let's get into this one on its own. It too uses its 276 pieces for some nice details, like obviously the Summer Palace here and the Great Wall of China in the background, with some elements sticking out a little, and one of the watchtowers being one of the set's main components. Really interesting and creative idea if you ask me. Also the details, like the palace standing on water and being surrounded by greenery. It's beautifully made, but much like the Japan one, also not free of issues. The biggest one are the stickers. It comes with 5 of them, and while I don't mind this one all that much because it's big enough to put on properly and has pretty much the exact same color as the block it's on, 2 of the other ones are very small, 1x2 and 1x1, and we don't get any spares. So me putting this 1x2 sticker on a bit wrongly and the 1x1 completely off, well, that's it. You better nail it the first time or it stays like this. That is a huge shame. Couldn't they at least print the very small ones? Or at the very least give us spare stickers? And the last 2 are Beijing in English and Chinese, and very appropriately colored for the set. But you put them on white tiles. What the hell? I don't think I need to explain why this looks bad, right? But honestly, that aside, I don't have much to complain about here. This is a beautiful set with some nice details and in my opinion a fair price. The building experience was fine, nothing bad but also nothing too special, aside from the fact that they somehow managed to put the watchtower at an angle. I love that. The way they did it is by having it cover a pretty big area and using 2 studs instead of 1. Pretty creative if you ask me. But that's about all I can say about this one, so let's compare the two. They both come in these boxes that you can't close for some reason, which I never liked, and right off the bat we see that the Beijing one is noticeably bigger, despite only having 14 more pieces. That's interesting. And while I'm at it, neither of them tell you how many pieces these sets have. That's pretty common for these kinds of sets, but still pretty weird if you ask me. Looking at the backside, we see that the Japan one nicely shows off some of the set's features, while the Beijing one mostly advertises other sets. And I actually checked, and Beijing is the only one that advertises other sets on the back. So I thought it might have to do with this being a redesign that is missing the Chinese flag. Unlike the original announcement, it even has a different set number, but the backs are the same on both of them, so I don't know what's going on here. The instructions are about the same, with the Beijing one having about 20 pages more, but also more unique details. With the Japan one, we can see that there is a lot of repetition, so it's understandable that they use less pages here. Personally, it's still moving a bit too slow for my liking, many steps only having 1 or 2 pieces, but this is how LEGO seems to do all of their instructions, so it feels appropriate. The only thing I really don't understand is why the Japan one has this generic background design. It looks cleaner, I guess, but also more boring. And it's not like they put that much work into the Beijing one either, they literally just took the box design. I guess the Japan one looks again more clean, more professional, but do we really need that with a 9+ set? I don't know. Moving on to the sets themselves, I think one thing is extremely obvious here. The Japan one is much more playful and has more going on. In the Beijing one, everything looks kinda samey. You have the palace and the wall, both of which do look different, but are both ancient buildings, while the Japan one also shows off different aspects of nature that are immediately visible, and not only if you pay attention to it, like with the Summer Palace's water. I don't know, I just find it hard to believe that Beijing doesn't have more to offer than this. And that aside, another aspect I loved with the Japan one, that is how much some of the elements are sticking out, is almost missing here. It's really only the watchtower and plant here, and they aren't even sticking out that much. For the most part it sticks to the frame, which is fine on its own and looks good, but in direct comparison just pales in my opinion. And I also don't like how it relies on stickers for some of the details. A thing I like more though is that, city tile aside, there are no wrong colors here. Everything fits, they even managed to put a black plate under the tile. But at the same time, it is 2 years older than the Japan one, so maybe it just showcases LEGO's development over the years. Might be worth keeping an eye on this in future postcard sets. I also like more how the watchtower is built at an angle and doesn't move freely. I understand that it's built on 2 studs instead of 1, but that doesn't change the fact that I like it more when it's static. But that aside, I think I'm pretty much done here. These are both beautiful sets in their own right, and while I prefer the Japan one, the Beijing one is also really well made. And that moment of putting the watchtower on these 2 studs for the first time and seeing just how well it works was extremely satisfying. Honestly, I think these postcards might be my new favorite line of LEGO sets. I'm not very interested in the other ones that are out already, but maybe we'll get some more in the future. I sure hope so. Follow me on Twitch, where I sometimes build LEGO sets, but also sets from other companies. I'm actually currently building the World War II Stalingrad set from Blue Bricks. All the ones you see on screen and more were built on stream, and I also plan to review them here over time, so also make sure to subscribe here. I'm Jen, and this was my honest opinion of the LEGO Japan and Beijing postcards. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, have a wonderful day, or night, or whatever, and see you!